Good morning friends, I am Ashish Agarwal, founder of NGOenabler.com, and today I am here again bringing to you a very relevant topic and a very interesting topic: what to form, society, a trust or a Section 8 company. So as you all are aware, in India, organizations are presently allowed to carry out charitable activities only in three forms: a public charitable trust, a registered society, and Section 8 company. We receive a number of queries from various organizations and individuals wishing to start charitable activities, raising concerns about whether to form a trust, whether to form a society or Section 8 company. However, we are of the view that all the three forms have their own challenges, own requirements, benefits, as well as constraints in some way or the other. So today I will try and give you a comparison between a society, a trust and a Section 8 company. So let's begin. So the first point where they all three differs is the governing act. So mainly the societies are governed by the parent act, which is known as Societies Registration Act 1860. There are various states like Maharashtra and Gujarat and West Bengal where the states have created their own Societies Act, which is also allowed statutorily. So the trust is governed by the Indian Trust Act 1882 and Section 8 company, which was previously Section 25 company under the Companies Act 1956. So it has now become Section 8 company under Companies Act 2013. Second major difference is authority with whom it is to be registered. So the society is registered with Registrar of Society of the concerned state. The trust is registered with the Register of Assurances at district level, and Section 8 company is registered with Register of Companies, which is popularly known as ROC. The third difference comes in approval of name. So for societies, usually a separate application is not required. If the name is available, it is usually granted. In case of trust, even an application is not required, so no such approval is required for the name. But for Section 8 company, separate application is required and there are very strict guidelines for getting the approval of name. The fourth difference between the three comes as a governing structure for administration. So in society there is a two-tiered structure. The first is governing body and the second is general body of members. In case of trust, there is a single tier structure, which is the board of trustees, which is the ultimate authority in a trust. Again in Section 8 company there is a two-tier structure, which is known as board of directors and general body of members. So now what is the minimum requirement for registrations or number of persons required? In society you require 7 persons, in trust and Section 8 company you require 2 persons to start. What is the annual compliance and what is the difference in all three? In society, different states have different document requirements to be filed. Normally, audited statements, activity report for the year and current list of governing body is required to be submitted every year with the relevant annual return form. In case of trust, there are no documents required to be filed anywhere. Again in Section 8 company, you are required to file an annual return and audited financial statements every year. What about the voting rights? So voting rights are usually equal for all members in case of society or else whatever is defined in the bylaws of the society. In case of trust, all trustees have usually equal rights. In Section 8 company, the voting rights may vary on the basis of shareholding or as defined in the Articles of Association. So now comes the 8th point, which is meetings to be held. In case of society, general and a board meeting has to be done, which is as per the bylaws prescribed for the society. So there is no hard and fast rule that you have to do. Usually an annual general meeting is done and the board meetings can be done whenever required as per the bylaws prescribed. In case of trust, again there is no hard and fast rule, and you can conduct a meeting as per the rules framed in the trust deed, right? And in case of company, there is a very specific provision which is prescribed by the Companies Act. You have to do at least one annual general meeting and at least 4 board meetings, which is compulsory to be held every year. So the last point in the differences is ease of formation. So this is also very important. In case of society, it is time consuming because at least 3 to 6 months are taken by the society department in various states. The trust is very easy to form, because it is done usually in a period of a month. And in case of Companies Act, also it is less time consuming because the government has given a very strict guidelines to be followed. They usually approve the name in a period of 7 days and a certificate comes in 14 days. So again, forming a company, Section 8 company, takes you around 1 month. So except society, trust and Section 8 company can be very easy to form. So now, are there only the differences between these three? No. Apart from the differences we just discussed, all the 3 forms of organization share some similarities too. So what are the similarities? The first similarity is all 3 are eligible for application of income tax exemption while registration under section 11 and 12 of the Income Tax Act. They are treated at par under the Income Tax Act. Second, the core activities carried out by each of them are usually charitable in nature and shall fall under the provisions of section 215 of the Income Tax Act, which defines the charitable activities. The third, which is FCRA registration. So FCRA registration or pre-permission registration under the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act 2010 is compulsory for all 3 of them in order to receive foreign contribution. So if you are willing to receive a foreign contribution, so it doesn't matter whether you are a society or a trust or a Section 8 company, you have to get a registration under FCRA Act or a prior permission from amateur department. So the 4th point is labor laws and other legal compliances under the in India, you can say, have to comply with by all the 3 if applicable. So PF, ESI, P-tax, it's all the same for all the 3. Last similarity is all the 3 can operate throughout India even though the state of initial registration might be different. So even if you have registered a society or a trust, suppose in West Bengal, you can still operate even in Maharashtra, you can still operate even in Andamans, you can still operate even in Delhi, anywhere in India. So friends, check your requirement and criteria for formation of NGOs and decide which form suits you the best. For more details, you can visit our website or log on to our Facebook page, and for any query you can mail us or comment below.